Hello students and welcome to Math Today. For today, you will need your math resource binder, your 5A textbook, your 5A workbook, and paper and a pencil. So please pause and go get those things if you need to. Our warm-up exercises are building, or questions are building off of what we worked on last week. So I'm asking you to express 5 3/4 as an improper fraction, and expressing 24/3 as a mixed number. So please pause and find the answers and then come back and see how you did. So remember, fifth graders, when we're expressing a mixed number as an improper fraction, our denominator stays the same. We multiply our whole number by our denominator. So 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23. Our answer is 23/4. 24/3. Remember, we're going to rewrite this as a division problem and then do that division. If you did this in your head, that's fine, as long as you're getting the right answer. So 3 goes into 24 7 times with a remainder of 2. So our mixed number is 7 2/3. And we check, of course, if we can simplify. We cannot. So that is our answer. All right, fifth graders, our objective for today, we're going to be building off of our knowledge and working on more fractions. So our objective is going to be adding unlike fractions, okay? You'll remember from that sheet of terms that I gave you on our first day of this fractions unit, unlike fractions are fractions that do not have the same denominator, okay? They do not share a denominator. So first thing we're going to do, I don't have formal notes for you. I do have them written out. And so you could get a piece of paper and copy them down with me, pause and copy these notes as we go. I'll also upload a picture of these notes so you could print that or copy them later after the lesson. Either way is fine, but it'll be good reference for you as we're going through on how to add unlike fractions. So I'm going to flip you around and we'll get into it. So adding unlike fractions. Step 1 is to find equivalent fractions with common denominators. Okay, we worked on equivalent fractions last week, so we're going to do this same skill. So if we're multiplying 2/3, or sorry, adding, 2/3 and 3/4. Okay, we want to find equivalent fractions for each of these with common denominators. The common denominator is 12 for each. So remember, we look at it and we say 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 4 is 8. And then 4 times 3 is 12, and 3 times 3 is 9. So we have our equivalent fractions with common denominators. So these are now no longer unlike. These would be what we call like fractions. They share a denominator. Next, we want to add the fractions by adding the numerators. We do not add the denominators. When we're doing addition of like fractions, we do not add the denominators. So what does that mean? Our denominator stays the same, but we add our numerators. 8 plus 9 is 17. Remember, if you're copying these notes, pause, and then you can join back in. Or also remember, you can print or copy them later once I have the picture attached to this assignment. 3, it says, if possible, make proper. That is possible. This currently is an improper fraction. So 17/12 becomes 1 5/12. And step 4 says, if possible, simplify. That's actually not possible for this problem. 5/12 is simplified, so we cannot simplify further. So that means when we add 2/3 and 3/4, we get 1 5/12. This is the process that you can follow every time as you are working on adding unlike fractions. Fifth graders, we're going to go ahead and work in our textbooks, our 5A textbooks, and we're going to be working on page 58 in our 5B textbooks, page 58. So you're going to work along with me, and then eventually I'll tell you to pause and work on your own. So number 1 is asking us to add 3/8 plus 1/6. So remember that step 1 is to find equivalent fractions with common denominators. And it'll be easiest if we find the least common multiple, which in this case is 24. Okay, you could go higher. You could multiply the two of those together and get 48. It'll still work. It'll just mean that there's some simplifying that you have to do at the end. But 24 is going to be the simplest. So remember, we say 8 times what is 24? 8 times 3. So we need to multiply this numerator by the same thing. 3 times 3 is 9. Now 6 times what is 24? 6 times 4. So we multiply our numerator by the same thing. So we finished step 1. Step 2 tells us to add the fractions by adding just our numerators. So we add 9 plus 4, which is 13. Our denominator stays the same. Step 3 says make proper, if necessary, which it isn't. Step 4 says simplify, which it isn't. So the correct answer here is 13/24. Let's go ahead and look at number 2. 2/3 plus 2/5. So step 1 tells us to find equivalent fractions with common denominators. What is our common denominator between 3 and 5? 15. So we're going to be adding something that is 15 over 15. So 3 times 5 is 15, so we multiply 2 times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15, so we multiply 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Step 2 tells us to add our numerators. So 10 plus 6 is 16. Our denominator does not change. We get 16/15. Step 3 tells us, if possible, make it proper. We can make this proper. It is currently an improper fraction. So when we make it proper, we should get 1 and 1/15. Step 4 tells us, if possible, simplify. We cannot simplify. Our answer here is 1 and 1/15. Okay, number 3, I'm going to write it down here. You can follow along in your textbook. Number 3 tells us to add 7/10 plus 5/6. So again, we want to think of the least common multiple. What is a common multiple of 10 and 6? And more specifically, what is the least common multiple? You should have 30, okay? So 10 times 3 is 30, so we need to multiply 7 by 3, which is 21. 6 times 5 is 30, so we need to multiply 5 times 5, which is 25. We then add our numerators. 21 plus 25 is 46. So we get 46/30. We're then told, if possible, to make it proper. We can get 30 out of 46 once, with 16 left over. So we get 1 and 16/30. Finally, step 4 says, if possible, simplify. It is possible to simplify. These are both even. So we're going to divide each of them by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 4. 30 divided by 2 is 15. And it looks like we went far enough. This can't be simplified any further. So you get 1 and 4/15. Fifth graders, I would like you now to try all of number 4 yourself, okay? There are 3 problems down here, so I would like you to pause. Yeah, solve these 3 problems. Come on back and see how you did. Okay, 5th graders, 4A, 7/9 plus 5/6. We want to find the least common multiple. okay? The least common multiple, which in this case is actually 18. Hopefully you saw that and didn't go any higher. If you did, it just means you had to simplify at the end. But this is our least common multiple. So 7/9, we would multiply both of these by 2 to get 14/18. 5/6, we'd multiply both by 3 to get 15/18. Okay? Then we add 14 plus 15 is 29. So 29/18 is our sum, but now we need to make it proper. If you made it proper correctly, you would get 1 and 11/18. And we need to check if we can simplify, which we cannot. So our correct answer for 4A is 1 and 11/18. 4B, you were supposed to add 3/4 plus 5/12. If you were paying attention, you would have actually noticed that we don't need to change this second number at all because our common denominator is 12. So we could have left this as 5/12. Again, if you went up to something like 24, it would work. It just means you had to simplify at the end more. So 5/12 can stay the same. 3/4, we want to multiply both of these by 3, so we get 9/12. Okay? Now we add 9 plus 5 is 14. So 14/12 is our sum. We make this proper to get 1 and 2/12. And we need to simplify this one. When we simplify, we get 1 and 1/6. Finally, let's take a look at 4C. We are adding 3/10 plus 5/6. If you think back about number 3, we actually can use the same common denominator. Okay, so our common denominator here is 30. So we multiply both of these, excuse me, fifth graders, by 3 to get 9/30. For our second fraction, 5/6, we multiply both of these by 5 to get 25/30. Now we add 25 plus 9 is 34, so our sum is 34/30. When we make it proper, we should get 1 and 4/30. And finally, we do need to simplify this fraction. We get 1 and 2/15. Fifth graders, hopefully that went well for you, that you practiced those 3 and got the correct answer, or answers, I should say. As always, if you're struggling, if this isn't making sense, if you are finding that you're making mistakes, then visit office hours. Reach out. We're happy to work with you. You've got office hours with me in the morning, office hours with Mr. Tom Haven in the afternoon, and then Mr. Reynolds also added office hours for you in the afternoon. So there's lots of math opportunities that you can work on. Also, Mr. Kimball or Mr. Wenninger, if you happen to be meeting with them, also could help you with math, though I am here and anxious and ready to help you. So there is an attached practice for you today that's going to be practicing adding unlike fractions. Again, you're going to solve those problems, check your answers, see how you did. If you're feeling like, yeah, that went great, I got answers right, then you're ready to move on to your homework. If you are doing the practice work and finding that it's not going great, you're not getting as many right as you would hope, that's when you absolutely want to reach out and visit your teachers during office hours to get a little more practice and a little more tutoring. Once you've done that practice work and checked it, go ahead and work on your workbook exercises, pages 52 and 53. Follow the steps for adding unlike fractions on pages 52 and 53. And then when you're done, submit a picture of your work. Good luck and let us know if you need any help.